and I'm going to ask to come on stage. If I think about it, how do I introduce him? I mean, number of years that he's been in the industry, number of times that he's brought all of us actually to, or some of the companies to Kraków. I think the only way that I can talk about it, and hopefully he doesn't take it badly, is the grandfather of the industry, Romek Lubaczewski. In a good way.
Thank you, Yola.
Let me
Thank you,
add
Yola.
one remark. You know, a grandfather of the Industry 4.0, it's exactly a bridge over between yesterday and tomorrow.
I like the way Andrew Hallam got godfather, I got grandfather. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Yola. What Yola doesn't know is I do this every year. This is my 9th year up here. And I have to say, it's a slight change, because normally what happens is I come out with Andrew Hallam. Hallam says a whole load of stuff. A few people are listening, not many. Then I make a really funny comment about Andrew Hallam and everyone laughs. And he's not here with me. So I'm a bit lost, Yola, so be careful, be careful. We've got a really, really interesting session right now that we're going to run through. We're going to talk about where we're going. So we tend to talk about where we've been. We often talk about where we are. This session's going to be where do we actually think we're going in the world of GBS, okay? So back office, shared delivery centres and BPO. So let me invite up my guests. I have 6 fantastic guests. If you guys could come up, please, and join me up on stage. These are all very, very famous people. So we have, I know all their first names, Kuba, the grandchildren of the industry, apparently. I'm feeling older and older. And, sorry, the grandchildren and Hervé. Okay, so when we think about where are we going, where's this industry going to be, and I'm thinking 10 years ahead. Whenever I'm a consultant and when people ask me to think ahead, I normally do 3 to 5 years. Very rarely does anyone ask me where do we think we're going in 10 years. So this is for me a very interesting discussion, because 10 years is actually quite a long time. When I sat down with the guys and we discussed what we're going to be talking about, there are a number of common topics. So I'm going to go through those very quickly. They're up on the board here. Let me pick some out. When we think 10 years ahead, so 10 years from now, what is our industry going to look like? I'd say the first big area is what work are we doing? What are we actually doing? 10 years from now, is it going to be the same? Automation. It's the hottest topic for the last 3 years. Robotics, machine learning, etc., etc. This is definitely a hot topic. It will continue to be a hot topic. Will that impact our industry in the next 10 years? Who is doing the work? So all about our people. Is it going to be us in the room in 10 years' time? Will there be no one in the room in 10 years' time? We're going to talk about that. How we work. When I say how, I'm talking more about things like, is it more like contractors? Is it more, actually we pay people to do work by volume, so posting 10 invoices you get paid 10 zloty. Are we going to actually be hiring people to do workload and not actually do a day, 8-hour day sitting in the office? And where do we work? And I don't mean do we work in an office, I'm thinking more, is Kraków actually going to be relevant in 10 years' time? Should we, and should the industry, so not just us in the room, should we be thinking about Kraków, or any city, to be honest with you? Should we still be chasing a cheaper location than Kraków? Should we be chasing, or should our industry continue to chase? Or, as lots of people seem to think, location will become irrelevant because of the other things I mentioned, meaning like automation, who does the work. Who does the work is the person doesn't need to sit anywhere. They could be anywhere in the world. Am I waving my hands a lot? Someone just went like this. Okay. So we're going to deep dive on some of those. I'm going to hand over to Kuba, Kuba, if you could take us away with the first topic, please.
Hello? Yes. So, morning, welcome. When I think how we will look in 10 years in our business industry, in this city in particular, I don't think that everything will change. With all the buzz around automation replacing humans, artificial intelligence setting up the new coexistence of us, and everything happening with the speed of light, our business evolution has always some kind of a periods of chaos and disruption, followed by the periods of balance or plateau. In Electronic Age magazine in 1958, there was a big study about self-driven cars. And despite the fact that right now everybody keeps saying it's just behind the corners, most probably it will hit us only like 2028. The same, when I moved to Kraków 2 years ago, everybody was talking about RPA and how it will completely change our landscape. While nowadays, despite the huge potential, we see that 30 to 50% of such projects fails. So a lot of things will change. Probably the scope will change. We will be producing more mobile application or some user-friendly platforms. We will be probably more monitoring the customer interactions, movements within some geographic area. But we will do it with the workforce we have today, with meal vouchers as a preferred benefit of employees. Our industry, we should be lucky that we are in the industry we are right now, because in our industry all the technological developments are tried and tested as the first one. If we should be worried about the fourth technological revolution, then what about the rest of the population? What about the rest of people, lawyers preparing contracts, teachers being confronted right now with online trainings and virtual reality? However, few things will change for sure in those 10 years, and I would like to leave you with 3 points if I can. So the first one, I would really recommend to look outside of Kraków landscape, because the further globalization and further integration of the teams and people, this will just continue, and there will be in 10 years probably no manager of the Kraków department, Kraków local sites, even the supporting function, everything can be done remotely. So by saying that, the second one, in the true sense of aspire, we need to have within our teams aspiration to play those wider global roles. We need to take an ownership to control things even outside of our direct control. Right now, I have teams across 7 locations in Europe and in Asia, and I see those behavioral differences. Tomorrow, there might be somebody from Kuala Lumpur or Israel taking control of our piece of cake, if I can call it that way. And the last one is, nowadays we see that we have changes happening on daily basis. Most probably in 10 years, the changes will happen on hourly basis. My recommendation would be, don't fight with the change management agenda. Try to create a culture, behavior within the teams, to just simply forget stuff and implement the new ways of working and adapt. Because this will provide huge advantages in terms of the speed of execution, speed to value, and competitive advantage. But all those 3 points are pretty much behavioral points, and working on behavior is something which takes time. So my first question, which you can use now your mobile application, is, in order to be ready for what's happening in the future, 8, 10 years, we need to work on those behaviors today, or rather tomorrow. Let's enjoy the conference today. And if you agree, disagree, just please share your opinion, and that's all from my side. Can I pass?
You can indeed. Thank you, Kuba. Hervé, if you could take over, thank you.
Okay, 10 years. 10 years ago, I didn't know that I will work 8 years at least in Kraków. And the next 10 years was goodness. I don't know what will happen. When it comes to the... where is the... Sorry. Okay, my point is about the automation and the robots. And the question we were wondering with Romek were if the robot... Sorry, it's going... Okay. If the robot will take over from the human. I would like to tackle this point from two aspects. The first would be the technology, and the second will be our capability in Kraków to change, our capability to influence what will happen to us. From the technology side, what did we do so far? I don't know, guys, for you, for us in Ambersport, we started 3 years ago, and we managed somewhere to automate between 10 and 15% of the process. Was it impacting the industry? Probably not. But at least we noticed that the needs for additional resources was slowing down. Is it a sign? I still don't know. But at least it was also showing to our business that Kraków is a good place to start experimenting new things. At least it was, and we gained some experience also in this area. Now for the future, what will happen? I'm not an expert, but we don't need to be an expert to guess that the things will accelerate and the technology will go quicker and quicker. I could name things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, or even the 5G, the new transmission protocol, that will change completely the way we are handling the business. I can imagine that there will be two ways of changing the business. The front end first, the way our companies are working with their partners, with their consumers. For instance, I'm thinking about some mobile application, yes, but to make business more and more, or internet, of course. The second aspect, but I predict will be the tools that we have to automate our processes. Most probably, we will have additional features. We will go deeper and deeper, and we will be more able to more automate our processes. Even we could also predict that some change in the business due to the new technology will make some of our processes obsolete, will disappear. So I would say from the technology perspective, there is a risk, but there is also an opportunity. Why? Because from the capability perspective of Kraków, I would have a strong message for you guys today. And this is what we are doing in Ambersport since 3 years, is to stay on top of the wave. Even if we have limited means, if we have limited, let's say, tools, at least to stay on top of the wave, to stay tuned, informed, to dedicate time, to dedicate budget, to dedicate allocated teams, to analyze the process, to try to find where are the breaking points, where are the resistance to automate the process, what can we change. I could talk about standardization. We are not super efficient in this area in our company. But we have also in our centers and in our university a lot of young people, talented people, and we should give them opportunity to learn, to develop in this area, and to prove that they can do very well. The goal that we had in Ambersports, and let's say that we could have all of us, is to for our companies to make our companies understand that Kraków is the natural place to experiment new things, natural place to implement new things. I know that we are not afraid about the change here in Kraków. So for us, it's a very good opportunity to demonstrate and to run the competition. Of course, we are not alone. There are also other entities in the business who want to automate or part in the automation game. They have other cities also in Europe and even elsewhere in the world that can compete with us. That's why my second message will be that we are together we are stronger. So I am really a fan of this Aspire Association. I'm really a fan of sharing information between us. We are doing it in the finance already, and I guess we have the project to do it in the robotics as well, between us. So I am rather optimistic, and also I am curious to see what will be your answer to my question. Maybe I can predict 50-50, but let's see what will be the result. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Hervé. Before you go, Hervé, just a question to you as
Yes.
you walk back and people are voting. If you were to look at all the work that we do today,
Yes.
go 10 years forward, how much do you think would have been automated in 10 years' time as a percentage? What do you think?
That's a very difficult question. I was in a conference in Warsaw some time ago, and I was asking the same question, and I got answer from 10% to 90%. So to be reasonable, 10 years is an eternity. So I would say that maybe we can think about 50%.
50?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Alex. And now Alex, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have the... okay, here we go. And I have to say, I'm a little bit disappointed. I always wanted to have this moment with this hip-hop tune in the background. They all got it, but when we entered, nothing happened. So probably something what will change next year. So I think we talked already about the workforce, and we talked about the changes that we are implementing. And I don't want to repeat what was already said. But I actually think that it makes sense that you join me right now a little bit on a journey. Let's go to the year 2030. Let's think about how it will look like. If it helps, close your eyes. Don't fall asleep, just listen to me. 10 years from now on, the question would be, are we still sitting in offices? Or is there probably an opportunity that we are working from wherever we want to work, remotely, talking to people via VC? The question that we are receiving right now, and I hope that the other center directors can agree, in more or less each and every recruitment that we are doing right now, we are receiving questions about flexible work. Flexible work in the sense of, my family lives in Poznan. Can I do the work 3 days a week out of Poznan? Or is it really your requirement that I have to be based out of Kraków? Also with regards to the contracts, I think when I joined HSBC 20 years back, I was honored. I got this permanent contract. I was happy. Right now, the younger generation is asking me, seriously? A permanent contract? I'm completely dependent on you. I want to stay flexible. This is changing as well. How do we work together as teams? Right now, we are really, really process-oriented. Our job titles are around it. We still have some of these copy-paste jobs. This is something what we think will disappear in the future. So think about how it will look like in 2030 once again. Why are we on this path of change is actually a question that we have to ask ourselves on a day-to-day basis. And we need to find answers if we want to stay ahead of the competition. Not just here on the market, generally, within the industry. The whole banking industry is changing dramatically. I'm a traditional banker, grew up in Germany. The job that I did for HSBC 20 years back is not existing any longer. Why is it so difficult right now to imagine that something like this will not going to happen in the next 10 years? So I will keep it very, very short right now. And here we go. Today, as a short summary, 80% of our workforce is permanent, office-based, and we are doing more process-oriented jobs. 20% is already on a contractual basis. They are freelancers. They are working from somewhere, not in the office. And my assumption would be, in 10 years' time, it will change and reverse. Agree or not agree? That's the question.
It's a good question. Alex, again, before you go, just let me ask you a question, again, while you're voting. We're on the wrong page, I think. Can we go back?
Yeah, but it doesn't work. I'm pushing hard.
Push it.
Now I need this.
Okay, no. Push it real good. Thank you, Vita. Alex, question to you.
Yeah.
Still the wrong question, guys. Technology. While we're sorting that, Alex, just again, give me your gut feeling on this one, because I think this is interesting. In 10 years' time, how much of your workforce in HSBC that you have right now working there would you actually think are not office-based at all, and they live in Kraków, you have no idea where they live? What percentage do you think that's realistic? What do you expect?
Well, I would go from 10 to 90. But actually, I think we are introducing more technology to support this, right? I would say, and I will play it quite carefully, 40-50%.
Oh, right. Sorry.
But this is actually a trend that we can see right now. We as an employee, we have to be a little bit more fancy. So this is why I think it's absolutely okay to wear sneakers on the stage, because the traditional banking, it's over already, right? So, and we are representing already a young workforce right now, and that is the demand that we are getting from our people and from our clients, right? And therefore, I think, 40-50% definitely.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Przemek, if you could go next, please. Thank you.
Hello everyone. We've heard a lot about the success of GBS industry in Krakow. So is it now the moment to sit down in comfort and stay? In my opinion, no. This is now the moment to push the accelerator to the bottom. We need to go beyond the traditional business services. Why? We have to contribute to the bottom line of the business. It's not easy. We have grown over years, and it brought also certain consequences with this growth. Our governance has become heavy, what is creating a perception of GBS industry to be unresponsive. We are not in certain places considered still as a business, and still we focus on doing things better on efficiency, on cost effectiveness, while we should be having more focus on changing the business. Certainly, we've heard that technology is helping us. It's creating disruption, and this disruption actually is shortening the distance between what has been considered in the past as a back office and the front end of the business. By having all the three things together, data, system, and skilled people in one place, it's creating now the unique opportunity to be agile and to have the data inside. Actually, we need to go beyond and use our core capabilities. Culture of change. We have incredible culture of change in Krakow. This is a unique selling point for us. Build on it. Agility means also to have a practical applications of certain things we have read, we have heard at the universities, in the presentations, fail fast concept. What it means in practice. Fail fast, it means experiment at low cost. To be able to deliver prototypes in terms of data analytics, in terms of supporting and driving the decision-making process in the business. We can do it in Krakow to the extent we've never had a chance to do it in the history. However, there's no free lunch, as you know. To go beyond, to develop, to walk on this journey hand in hand with the business, we need to meet certain new requirements. To be a trusted partner to the business, we need to gain credibility and trust. It's not easy. As you know, life is not fair. Sometimes perception is different than reality, but who cares? Perception is the reality sometimes, in many cases. We need to demonstrate the leadership, we need to demonstrate the engagement with key stakeholders on the business side. And only by doing this, we can actually become the core of our businesses. Not a back office hidden somewhere, far, far away. We can become a key enabler to change the business. So my question to you is actually, what do you think? Do we have to go beyond traditional business services or not? Would you like to focus on what we have today, traditional scope, or you think we should be going beyond?
Thank you, Przemek. I have a question for you. Don't clap yet. Przemek, you're kind of saying, we're going to have to change the work we do, right?
Yes.
Question to you is, go 10 years ahead, how much of the work we do today do you think we'll still be doing in 10 years?
Well, actually, I think the scope of work we do today will be still doing it, but in a different way. Certain things, just by the technology that is coming, will become automated. We'll stop talking about it. It will be, like breathing. It will be natural. We'll stop talking about it. But it will be still a scope of our services. But there will be new things coming, new things which I think, in the long term, will become the 80% of our business. To be frank, the scope currently we have, it will be still in place, but it will represent 20% of the whole scope of 20%. The 80% will be new services, new things, actually more closer to the front end of the business.
Brilliant. Thank you, Przemek. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. The next reflection is about talent. As we were talking before, Kraków is a 9-year-old market, quite young organizations. So then the question is how good we have been and what we need to do to keep developing our most important assets, our people. So let's focus a little bit on what is the normal life of a person who joins us. First question after we join, what is my career path? How do I grow? Do I grow functionally up? Do I go and grow through the different service areas we have? So then the key challenge for us since the very beginning, as we continue to evolve as an organization, is do we do silo talent management or we go cross-center, cross-functional, cross-areas talent management of our talent? Then people continue to grow, the people continue to develop, then the next question comes, what is my development path? What are you going to teach me for me to continue to develop here? Then different blends come. How much of the hard knowledge we need to give to the people as the people grow, how much of the soft skills the people need to develop. We all see how fast the technology goes, the speed of the moment and the growth. Of course, the mix changed. When you have managers, you probably need more soft skills, more interpersonal skills, challenging discussions, monitoring, mentoring, feedback. All these things continue to evolve as the senior talent develops. Then, this rover coming to the senior or manager roles. Then he has in our radar, and he's in our talent pipeline now. So then, what do we need to do? Then, Robert is ready to be senior manager in 2 years' time. He's flying, exceeding expectations, but he has a gap to fill. Then, are we translating this gap to fill into a proper development plan? Are we having the right discussions today to make sure that Robert is ready in 2 years' time to take over? Are we feeding this lion, this talent, to continue to grow? Probably no. But then the difficult moment comes again. Then the senior manager leaves, and then we need to put Robert into the next level of the organization. Then probably we see that the gap is not filled, because probably still need a year. Then we don't have any better idea to go back and say, oh, we need to go external. But a senior manager has 3 months of notice period, 3 months to look the person, so then probably best case scenario, we have it in the flow for 6-8 months. Okay? Then until the person understands what is the color of the beer we sell, it takes 9 to 12 months, it's already a year. So we say, Robert, you need to go and wait for a couple of years, but I will wait for a year for someone to come from outside, because I'm not ready to bet on you, even though you are a talent for me. So then whose fault is this gap of this difficult situation we need to manage because we didn't probably dedicate the right time, in the right moment, in the right way? Then no question, then the people looks on the other side of the fence because the grass is always greener outside. But again, whose fault is that one? As we say, we are only a 9-year market, 10 years market, 15, depending how old is our organizations here. But when you look around, how many of our center heads has already grown through our own organizations? If you're a 5-year organization, probably it's not possible. But then the question remains, do we already have the next center head with us that we are working today to make sure that this person is ready when we need to move on? So definitely we need to think a little bit how we are taking the decisions today, how we are embedding in our talent management, career path, and learning and development, what do we need to do to make sure that the people is ready. But again, this is what has happened. We're already talking about how the industry is evolving, the automation, the office spaces, the robots, the scope of the services. Then the question is how we are translating this into the future. Because for sure, a lot of the work we are doing here today probably will not be done by a robot. It will probably happen somewhere else. Do we still need to develop face-to-face leaders, or do we need to develop bloggers, YouTubers, Instagrammers? Is this already in our agendas? Probably not. So then the question is, are we doing the right things to develop the talent of the future? Or we still have a gap to fill? Thank you, Roman.
This is, as I said, I've been to every one of these conferences, and this is the topic I always bring up. I think we as an industry are not good enough at this. I think we're not developing our people through the industry. I gave you a question. Ask the question. You know the question. How many? Oh yeah. No, it's gone.
Oh, it was already there. How many of our center heads have been developed through our talent pool?
Yeah, it's a really good question. But I have a much better question for you, Juan. What do you think is probably the best beer in the world?
It's green.
It's green. Thank you very much. Thank you. Peter.
So, green beer, it reminds me of St. Patrick's Day. So, my name's Peter Mitchell, I come from Ireland. It's a bit of Game of Thrones here with this dragon and all the different families of shared services. So, we got a few things in common here, besides looking amazingly beautiful. We're all in the people business. So, it's a little bit of a segue actually from Juan when it comes to, let's say, the people side of things. And I firmly believe that people come before the customer. So this outstanding employee experience should be and will be the remedy, the medicine that we need to overcome any challenges in the industry, be it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where we're probably all retired. But that's exactly where I want to take my points today. So, we did a survey around unique selling points. Apparently I don't need the microphone, but I'll keep with it. So, the unique selling point that you have as a company, it could be location, it could be the products, it could be the other different kind of things you have. It could be the beer, for example, or the interest rates you give your customers when it comes to the banking. But I firmly believe it's about how you connect with your people. Every single day, I have the best job in the world running the shared service center because I love working with people. I love engaging with people, trying to find out exactly what their concerns are and how to take those concerns away. I mean, not all of them can be solved within one day or 1 week, but working together with these guys is an amazing experience. And that engagement can be your unique selling point when it comes to running a center, when it comes to being in the people business. We cannot afford to invest in people. Romek, you just mentioned it. We're not investing enough in the industry. We're not investing enough in our own people. I heard just last week that around only 1% is being invested in talent within our companies. That's how much we're investing. It's nowhere near enough. And then we all say that the biggest issue we have is talent. So how could it be on one side it's such an issue, on the other hand we're not investing? So we need to get that right. We need to get the right balance of what we invest in the people. Now you can see my last point here is ROP. Now I was thinking about, return in people, but that would not go down very well. So return on people, the benefit you get back from the investment you put in. It's very simple really, right? So you know, Juan, you were asking, have you come through your own organization and been developed through your own organization? Yes, I have. And then, you know, learn on the job. That's what you hear a lot. But you need to get some finesse and some different trainings to help you develop as a leader and as a manager. As our most valued asset will appreciate as opposed to depreciate, people are our most valued asset. No doubts about it. You know, I remember years ago, probably going back 10 years ago, I was doing the financial closing in one of the countries, and I was stuck with an asset. I've got a countdown here, with an asset issue during the closing. It was the 10th of January. It was getting close to midnight. Someone found out it was my birthday coming up, and the CFO went to an all-night petrol station, bought the lousiest cake ever, came back, and that was my birthday celebration with the team in General Accounting, with the CFO singing happy birthday to me. So that's about engaging with people, if I've ever seen it. Happy Employee Index. Like I said, employees first, customers second. If your people are not happy, the customer satisfaction, forget about it, it's not going to happen either. So it starts with the people. My question is, or my statement is, investing in people is the remedy to overtake any problems we have, because people is greater than anything in its way. It's a U2 song called Love is greater than anything in its way. I've turned that into people because people form the love, and here you go. That's the remedy to hit and target and go against anything that comes against us. You can agree on that if you want.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. The voting, all of those voting scores, I'm going to bring them up in a couple of minutes' time. But what I'd like to go back is, none of you remember this, you lot are far too young, but I remember this. 20 years ago, there was one centre in Kraków. It was a PW, not even PwC, PW BPO business in Herbewo. And we have a video from 20 years ago that I'd just like to show you, because I'd like you, well, many of you probably weren't even born then. And I was actually working there then, which is even more scary. And I wasn't even young, just to make it even worse. So if we could have the video, please.
The city of Kraków in Poland is the location for one of PricewaterhouseCoopers' most recently established BPO Centers of Excellence. Kraków is a beautiful place, but other factors led to the selection of this location.
We selected Krakow as the location of our Centre of Excellence because it had access to a highly qualified, multilingual labour pool at a competitive cost. Similarly, infrastructure is competitively priced relative to other parts of the region, and it has state-of-the-art technology, state-of-the-art telecoms.
I think one of the major attractions of Kraków as a location for business and talent is the availability of labour. Kraków has 10 universities, has a student population in excess of 100,000 people. The Polish education system is of a very high standard. Most of our employees speak 2, 3, if not 4 languages.
Although the basic infrastructure is good, the availability of quality office space is a problem.
When we looked for our own premises in Kraków, we gave a lot of thought to the quality of the working environment. We invested some considerable amount of funds to make the office look good. We've invested in good IT links, good computer facilities, good desk space, seating, colour, decor, everything, to create a positive working environment. And it's something we are quite proud of.
As you see, all the area that we are working right now, it's really beautiful. I can say it's really like a perfect office, and it's a lot of space around, so we feel really bit comfortable, I can say, and it's really helping us, of course, working for such a nice company that's not only thinking about the work that we are dealing with, but they are taking care about us.
Clients, when they see this place, are very, very pleasantly surprised because they come in here with all these expectations about Central and Eastern Europe and Krakow and things like that, and they walk into a modern, state-of-the-art office with professionals buzzing around, and there's an atmosphere here. So I've always I always encourage people to come and see what we've done because they walk away changed.
And they rather cleverly left me out of that video. I'll never quite understand why they didn't include me. But there was a few takeaways I have watching that. I've seen the video many times, and every time it brings a smile to my face. One is the average space of the employee was like 10 square meters, and that's because 2.5 square meters was the PC fitting like this jumbo thing. Number two is, he said twice, state-of-the-art office space. And that office was the most awful office I've ever worked in my life. It was every time they did a picture, it looked worse and worse rather than better. But state-of-the-art, God forbid. However, the third takeaway I have is John Lyons has not changed his hairdresser in 20 years. And I remember then, honest to God, I remember we were talking about a paperless office, and you could see them going through all of these files and walls of files of paperwork. Geez, and that was 20 years ago. The reason I wanted to show this is for another reason. I'm now going to take us 10 years forward. So 10 years ago, Aspire did a survey of our community, of all of us, asking us, and a report was written about 10 years ago, what would we look like 10 years forward? What were the key elements of our industry that we need to work on? So 10 years ago, so it would have been really, where are we now? And this is interesting. So I've got six takeaways from that report. How do we compete with India was number one. So Krakow's number one point, our industry, was how do we compete with India? Number two was language. How do we maintain our language skills? How do we grow our language skills? How do we make ourselves, to be honest, different to India, with India being mainly English and we can do all the others? Number three, isn't this a common topic? Working with the universities. So I've been hearing that for 23 years. Next one, working with local government to help investors. Equally 23 years of that. Talent pool. Where are we going to get our people from? That one hasn't changed, not in the slightest. That's still probably one of our top worries. And then this one's very interesting because it's so true now, is how we're going to take our workload up the value chain. So 10 years ago, we were already saying we need to be doing it, and today we're saying it's going to happen. So just think that through. We just saw a lovely video 20 years ago. I'm telling you 10 years ago. We're in today, and we've just spoken about where we're going to be in 10 years. Now, many of you know me, I'm an accountant, so I ran some statistics based on the conversation we just had. Listen to this. If you had an office of 100 people working right now, 100 people, and we go 10 years forward and Hervé said he thinks 50% of the workload will be taken out, that puts 50 people there. So we've gone from 100 to 50. Przemek said he thinks about 20% of the workload will remain, so 80% of what we do today will disappear. So that takes us down to 10 people. And Alex said 40% of the people won't be working in our community, meaning they aren't coming to the office, we don't know where they are. So we've gone from 100 people down to 6. Okay? Think about that. Think about that. And that's where we're going to be in 10 years' time. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you very much to my guests. I think that wasn't an ending, that was just thank you very much. I just wanted an extra clap. We've got the scores, of course. Can we put the scores on the doors, please? Or not? Yes, we have. Okay, so being relevant in 10 years. So 3 would mean we're kind of neutral, 3. So 4, which is a very high score, says being relevant means working on culture today. Robots are taking over 2.2. We're not worried about that. That's very interesting. We're not worried about that. 10 years, 20% will be working in the office, 80 won't, 3.8, a high score as well. So generally we are agreeing. And we have to go beyond traditional business services, again a high score. So we're agreeing we need to change what we do. The workload we're doing now is going to disappear. We need to find new work. We are not developing the talent we need for tomorrow, 3.6. It's a little bit above average. I think you're wrong. Okay? We're not developing our talent. I'm telling you, we're not. And the last one, investing people in, is the remedy for the interest, which is 4.5, the highest score. So we're agreeing, absolutely, very much so, that we need to invest in our people to drive through and survive the next 10 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, panel.